Well, Texas and Steve Sarkeesian belong, for now, I will say. Steve Sarkeesian and Texas belong on a dubious list. It's an undeniable list of underachievers, and the word underachieving is not sitting well with Texas Football Inc., and the answer to that, of course, is too bad. But the list of underachievers that Texas is now a part of, to prove the point, two of the coaches on the list that I've created, you can feel free to disagree, but two of the coaches on the list I've created have already been fired. And another spends practically all of his time publicly defending himself, letting everyone know how great he is. But he has a national championship as cover. So the obvious question would be, what is Steve Sarkeesian's cover if he's on this list? Fair point. If you make a list right now with a few weeks left in the regular season of college football, right before we get to the playoff, but if you make a list and it's there and it is, I think, pretty shocking, but if you make a list of underachieving programs in college football, that list will include 4 teams with a dramatic, and from what I can tell, I don't see it. I don't know how you see it. Their coaches certainly made plenty of excuses. But these 4 teams have a dramatic and inexcusable fall. There really is no excuse. It's amazing, actually. Of the 4, it's tough to decide which is most surprising. I can maybe I don't know that Texas is the most surprising of the 4, but they're on the list, I think. Feel free to disagree. It's entirely possible or probable that none of these 4 teams, it's probable, none of the 4 make the college football playoff. And to put that into perspective, I want you to listen to this. Follow where I'm going with this. Here is ESPN's preseason power rankings in college football. Number 1, that's Texas. It says there's star power everywhere, especially on defense. One of the country's best units. And yes, Arch Manning will finally start, and he likes to air it out. Expect big things. Oops. Number 2, Penn State. Drew Aller is one of the most experienced quarterbacks in the country. Blah, blah, blah. They add former national championship defensive coordinator Jim Knowles. He now leads a talented and potentially elite defense. The Nittany Lions also have an easy start to their schedule. Number 3 on the list, Clemson. Is it a national championship or bust at Clemson this season? That might be a lofty expectation, but the Stars have aligned for a team that has all the players in place, from a veteran quarterback, Cade Klubnik, to a trio of elite receivers. Those are 3. My gosh, those are 3 of the 4. Number 8 in ESPN's preseason power rankings is LSU. Their coach was whacked, and he's suing them now. You get my point. The 4, Clemson, Penn State, LSU, and Texas. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that they have not amazingly, shockingly underachieved. It's hard to decide which one had a more bizarre, because it's still going on, a more bizarre and ridiculously bad season. But they've fallen on their face, all of them. I mean, in dramatic fashion. And I want you to underline this part, because I think this is where I don't think there's an argument. I don't care if it's a coach, a whiny $1 million coach arguing, or a face-painting fan or a face-painting media member. For these 4 programs, they have no excuses. There's none. None of them can say, yeah, it was a bad year, but we lost our guy. And actually, you didn't. None of them can point to losing their starting quarterback or have any bad luck whatsoever. None. And certainly not Texas, in spite of what the coach tries to tell you. They have no excuses, all 4 of them. All 4 have quarterbacks. Started the season with quarterbacks, and I guess outside Drew Aller got hurt for Penn State. But James Franklin, I think, had already been fired right about that time. But all 4 of them have quarterbacks expected to be among the best 5 in the sport. All 4 of them have quarterbacks that were expected in late August to be first-round picks. In the case of Texas, they had a quarterback who was expected to be the first pick in the draft and win the Heisman Trophy. Think about where Texas started, and they were preseason number 1 almost unanimously, and their starting quarterback was projected to be the first player taken in the draft. That was silly. And all three of these 4 programs have defenses that were expected to be among the top 5 in the entire sport. All of them have successful veteran head coaches. 2 of them are out of a job. And Dabo Swinney at Clemson only has a job, even though he's insufferable and he whines all the time and complains and everything is about him. But he has a job still because he's won a national championship. So they're getting heat, all of them, including Steve Sarkeesian, for the right reasons. Now, Steve Sarkeesian was asked, this is a tough spot. I always recommend, even though it's not good for my business, I recommend this. Even though I want you to talk as much as possible. See, my goal, like any talk show host goal should be, it's not to kiss ass, it's to make a better show, and people who act stupid make a better show. So the more you talk, it's better for my business. But to be practical, saying less is a much better idea. Bill Belichick figured this out a long time ago. You're better off just grunting than talking and talking and talking. And I think Steve Sarkeesian knew some of the questions were coming, had to know, and if he didn't, too bad, but is guilty of talking way too much, and it didn't help him. So in a news conference, he is asked, again, if you want to argue with me that they are one of the 4 most disappointing and underachieving teams of the season, go right ahead. But that is amazing. The top 3 teams in ESPN's list all have been an incredible disappointment and had no excuses. And LSU was number 7, and they whacked their coach. So here goes Steve Sarkeesian's response, and there's a lot to react to this. I think some of the reactions that I hear are a little unfair. I get where he's trying to go, and there's another part of this that was not a good move, not handled well.
The main reasons are this team is underachieved.
According to who?
Well, when you're preseason number 1, I think most people would agree 3 losses is not achieving what you are capable of.
I mean, I guess that's into who voted us number 1, okay? What I think is that this team has competed their tail off. They've been faced with a lot of different adversity and injuries, and a lot of stuff has come across this team's plate. And I'm very, very proud of them with their resiliency. At the end of the day, at the University of Texas, we're held to a very high standard. And the standard is to compete for championships year in and year out. And we're going to play the best teams in the country. We're going to schedule the best teams in the country. But by the end of the season, we'll play, of our 12 regular season opponents, 5 of those teams will be top 10 teams when we played them, so nearly half our schedule. And we have an opportunity at the end of the regular season to do something that nobody's done since 2019, and that's beat 3 top 10 ranked teams in the regular season. The last team to do that was LSU with Joe Burrow. So have we been faced with a pretty difficult schedule? Have we been faced with high expectations? Sure, but that's why we came here. So we'll be okay.
All right, we'll stop there. Okay. That wasn't very good. No. First, I'll say this. He's doing what all college coaches do, and that is get defensive. Settle down. Who picked us there? Right. Okay. He's also trying to defend his team. Let me try to help him a little bit here. I don't think that was handled all that well, but at some level, I get that he's trying to defend his team. I do get that. Good managers, you want the people you work with to think you'll jump on a grenade for them. So that part is understandable. He almost said, I would tell you this is my opinion, he almost said the right thing. Saying the team overcame adversity is ridiculous. The term adversity used by 99.9% of college coaches is an insufferable use of the word. You're not running over a hill in Baghdad. Nobody's getting their legs blown off. Would you rich men, please stop with the use of the word adversity. It's not that tough. You make $11 million a year. It's not that hard. Stop with that. Now, you know I hate that word used by coaches and players all the time. It's just dumb. It's a dumb thing to say. What adversity are you talking about? You were lucky to beat Kentucky. If their coach wasn't a moron, if he wasn't a full-on knucklehead, you would lose that game and you're in real trouble. If Mississippi State wasn't stupid and their coach a moron, you'd lose that game. You played Oklahoma with a quarterback that had no business being on the field that day. So please tell everyone how it is that Texas has it so tough. Don't go there, man. That's so Dabo Sweeney-like, where you cry all the time. Now, that said, okay, I find that part of his defense ridiculous, inexcusable, insufferable. Part of his position needs to be, and I don't disagree with this, it needs to be he's got to keep his team dialed in for the next 2 games. That is true. That's where I think you should have taken the conversation. I don't think trying to defend where you are right now is a good look. It's just not. You just got your ass kicked. You did. So you can't really defend where you are. You can't defend how far you've fallen. But you can say, man, I got to keep us dialed in. We got 2 weeks to go. I'm dialed in on that. You're going to laugh. Now, you'll laugh at this part. But if they were to win their last 2 games, and I know you're laughing at me right now, and I get that. I mean, I completely understand. But it's also a weird team playing another really weird team. If they were to win their last 2 games, I still think they get in the playoff. And before you scream back at me, no, I don't think they deserve it at all. No, I think the whole playoff setup is dumb. I think it's a fixed system. I think it is rigged. I think Texas will benefit from that. But if they do win their final 2 games, if whatever schizophrenic A&M team shows up and Texas is dialed in and plays well, they might win their final 2 games to get in the playoff. Would it still be what Texas was supposed to be this season? No, but he would have a little bit of cover in that case. That said, to push back, to use the term adversity, to act as if things have been so tough for them was ridiculous. A more reasonable response would be something like, hey, look, we can't look back, period. We've got 2 more games to prove our case that we belong in the playoff. And that's all we can do, man. That's all that I can focus on. That's all that my guys can focus on. Period. We're not looking back right now. It doesn't do us any good. And then at that moment, stop talking. Just stop talking. Don't get defensive, even when you want to be. So there's another level to this. Okay, so there's pushing back on the question is not a great look. Other coaches do it. It's equally as silly when they do it. Some of them do it even more. No one is more of a crybaby than Dabo Sweeney. And 2 of the coaches that made this list of underachieving programs, remember, that's Texas, that's Clemson, that's Penn State, the top 3 teams in the power ranking to start the year. James Franklin's been fired at Penn State, and number 7 on the list was LSU, and Brian Kelly got fired after losing to teams 3, 6, and 9. So the better response would have been just to roll with it and say, hey, man, I've got 2 games left to try to get in that playoff, and that's what we'll do. The other level to this, and I think you can't help but think about this, as badly as Texas has shown up in these certainly road games, but that is another level that is what if. What if? And the what if is, what if the schizophrenic team that is Texas A&M rolls into Austin and lights up Texas like they're capable of doing? Now, at no point am I going to act like I can figure out either one of the teams playing the day after Thanksgiving, and neither can you, and I'm not sure their coaches can. You have no idea what you're going to get, but I know this much. If you get the good version of A&M, they could boat race Texas. If you get the bad version of Texas, A&M could boat race them. So that's the what if, right? If A&M is in the right headspace, they can roll Texas. If they're not, the longer Texas hangs around in that game, the better the chance they have and the tighter A&M gets. But you never can, obviously you don't know the psychology of a team that's down 30-3 and comes back and wins. So I have no idea what you're going to get. But if that goes wrong for Texas, then what? Then what? And that's entirely possible. Then I think you've got a different narrative that's created. Now I think the volume is turned up. Let's just say, for example, and I have no idea what Arkansas brings. Who knows there either. But let's just say down the stretch A&M were to beat Texas. If Texas were to beat A&M and win the final 2 games and get in the playoff, Steve Sarkeesian gets a little cover, gets a little pushback. He can hang his hat on a little bit of momentum. I think the noise is dialed down slightly. But if A&M beats Texas in Austin, particularly if A&M, because that's a team I've told you all season long that if they get ahead of you, they will run off and leave you. They will turn your game into a track meet. If they were to boat race Texas, the noise turns up dramatically. Okay? I've played for fired coaches at Texas. The noise, you don't know noise until that situation, you go from number 1, an across-the-board number 1, across the board a first-round pick at quarterback, a Heisman hopeful, Heisman favorite at quarterback, and you go from number 1 to not being in the poll. You go from number 1 to not being in the playoff at all, and then you ended your year getting your ass kicked by somebody down the road. The noise is deafening. And the label of you're James Franklin 2.0 starts to really kick in. Then you're going to say, well, Jeff, are you hinting that he would get fired? I don't think Steve Sarkeesian gets fired under practically any circumstance. I don't see it. What people get wrong about Texas, LSU whacks, there's a Texas, big money Texas people, and even Texas fans used to be far more volatile. And the big money people used to be far more difficult than they are now. It is a much more, I'm not saying it's a passive environment, but it's much more passive than it used to be. And it's more passive than many other SEC programs. You saw what they did to a guy at LSU that lost in close games, lost to teams 3, 6, and 9. They whacked him the next day. I don't think it's like that at Texas. They're not in the mood to fire a coach, I don't think. No matter how bad it gets down the stretch, I don't think they're in a place where they are ready to fire a coach and hire someone else. I don't think so. But I do think whatever you want to call pressure, the pressure should be there. He should be feeling it now. It looks and sounds like a guy that's feeling it now, and he should. He's underachieved. If they get boat raced by A&M, it's underachieved 10x. Then you start next year as a person, or you better go deep in a playoff or else you're whacked. Then you got a different scenario next year. Probably not this year. You agree with that? I mean, when I pointed out the preseason top 3, none of them are likely to make the playoff. And Texas is the only one with any chance, and that's a stretch. And 2 of the 4 have fired their coaches with more than 4 games left in the season. Hey, here's a recommendation backed up by my own experience, a great experience. And that is, I've been a client of DJC Law, and I can tell you this. You're going to get 3 things with DJC Law. You'll notice it right away. The difference is you will get peace of mind. They will take care of every single detail perfectly, and you will get the result you deserve. If you're injured by the negligence of someone else, fighting with an insurance company for any reason, trust me when I tell you, you will need DJC Law. Dan Christensen and his team of attorneys have a remarkable track record. I've known Dan a long time. He's a military vet. He's board certified in civil trial law, and I've been a client. So you can trust them. You will get the result you deserve. Check out teamjustice.com, and you'll see thousands of 5-star reviews. The bottom line is, if you're in an accident, you need DJC Law. Contact them right away. 512-888-9999.